wait to properly introduce you guys. This is our keynote speaker, and I couldn't wait to hear him because I heard him the other day and I love him so much already. Let me just introduce him properly so you know who he is, okay? Naveen is an intensely curious entrepreneur. He's going to tell us why. Who is not afraid to take on the audacious ideas and to push humanity forward. He's the author of the award-winning book, Moonshots, Creating a World of Abundance. His current moonshot adventures are Viome, hope I spell it properly, you pronounce it, and Moon Express. As a serial entrepreneur, he previously co-founded InfoSpace, Intelius, and TalentWise. And yeah, he's done a lot, like seriously a lot. Today, I just want to get down to, in addition to Moonshots, he's the chairman of the board of Singularity University, where he focuses on educating and inspiring leaders to utilize innovative technologies to address humanity's greatest challenges. I want to learn more about that. He's been the recipient of many awards and honors. Entrepreneur of the Year by Ernst & Young, Most Creative Person by Fast Company, Top 20 Entrepreneur. I mean, the list is endless. There's so much. But today, he is going to be speaking to us about innovation and inventions for the 21st century. I'm putting it as gallery because I want to see your face while I'm talking. Welcome, Naveen Jain.
First of all, I'm honored and I'm humbled to be here with you, Camilita. I know we have talked about it for doing this for a long time, so I'm so glad we're finally together.
Oh, it will always come at the right time. Naveen, I want to talk a lot about real success, technology success, and your personal success. So sure. All three, because you're a billionaire in so many ways, not just with money, but with your heart-centered goals. And I am super excited to learn more. How did this, where did this big vision come from? I mean, tell us.
So first of all, Camilita, we have to really redefine success in our society. Our success should never be measured by how much money we have in the bank. We should measure our success by how many lives have we been able to improve, right? And that is a true measure of success. And as our children were growing up, we will always tell them their self-worth will never come from what you own. Their self-worth comes from what they actually create. And their success is going to be measured by how many lives they improved. And the only one way to know when you have truly become successful, because the day you become humble is the day you become successful. Because if you still have iota of arrogance left in you, that means you're still trying to prove something to yourself or someone else. That is not a success. Success comes when you find peace and you simply give, not receive, but you give, and amazing things happen. If you believe the universe is our friend and you put the intent out there, every time you give, you're giving the intent out there, amazing things happen. Everything in the world comes to you. And what I found really interesting is that as I've grown to be old man, is that, seriously, it is that you have to learn to fall in love with yourself, because the day you fall in love with yourself is the day the world will fall in love with you. And I don't mean and honestly, Camilita, here's what happens. I don't mean falling in love means becoming self-conceited, arrogant. What I really mean is the day you stop looking for someone else's approval is really all that needs to go away. Is don't look for someone's approval to tell you that you're good. Don't let them define who you are. Don't give the remote control of your happiness to someone else, because the minute you do that, they make you unhappy. So when you say you made me angry, you made me frustrated, no, that's not true. You make yourself angry, you make yourself frustrated, and you should never let someone else do that to you. And that to me is really, in a nutshell, all the things one could learn in life.
Like, listen, like you can go back to your meeting. I got enough right there. But how long does it actually take for people to just get that, Naveen? Like, how long? Because everybody's striving for something.
It doesn't really. It is something you have to, it's a switch. It's really the mindset is a switch. Once you change your mindset, you can never go back to it. That is the beauty of it. You keep moving forward. The simple philosophy, I mean, like, at home, me and my wife are so different, and she gets anxiety, she gets stressed, and like, I tell her, for what? Right? I explained to her there are only two things in life: it's things that are in your control and the things that are not in your control.
That's it.
If they're not in your control, I just simply say it is what it is, and it will be what will be.
Oh,
Right? and when things are in my control, I never worry about it, because I say I am doing everything I possibly can, and it is what it is, and it will be what will be. And basically what I mean by that is focus on actions, not the outcomes. And I think that is one thing the Western society can learn from Eastern philosophy. In Eastern philosophy, where I grew up, it was all about taking actions. All you and I can do is to take actions.
yeah.
Outcome, you and I can't control. Outcome will be what will be. But actions we can control. So every day, today I woke up at 3:45 a.m., jump out of the bed, wanting to do things. That's all I can do. At the
Wow.
end of the day, it will be what will be. And the other thing that I learned, Camilita, just in the same thought process, and I'll come back to on other topics, is that when something happens, we label it, and that is where the problem happens. So today, my phone breaks. I say, oh my God, God damn it, God doesn't love me. The universe doesn't love me. This thing is bad. Once we label an event, whatever it is, good or bad, our mind changes. We start to feel sad when something we think bad happened. We feel right. And now imagine the thing that we call bad. A decade from now, when we look back, we're going to say that was the best thing that could have ever happened, because you could have never imagined what change. You became a different person. So when you're going through a breakup in a relationship, you feel sad and you think, oh my God, this is the worst thing that can happen. And a decade later, you said, oh my God, that was the pivotal moment in my life that changed to me who I became. Why would I want to ever take away from what I became today? I love myself. And if I changed anything in the past, then I would become a different person. So why would I want to label something bad or something that event to be in label? And the reason I mentioned that is there is a great story in Eastern society, Eastern philosophy, that this man is living in a village. And in a village, you count on your son to take care of you when you're old, to help
Yeah.
you with the farm. And this man, son, as he is coming to be a teenager, and now he's suddenly gets a horse steps on the person's toes, and now the person now cannot, this young man cannot walk anymore. He's limping. And the whole village said, oh my God, you are the most unfortunate person in this world, who only had one son, whose son cannot walk properly. And then man simply said, it happened, and universe is my friend, and God probably thinks it's the best thing that happened. Guess what happened? People thought he was the most unfortunate person. A month later, there was a draft, and they came to the village and say, every young man who can walk properly is going to the war. And he is the only man who was left with his son with him. And everyone said, you are the most fortunate person in the world who can. My point was, an event that happened wasn't good or bad. You never know. That event turned out to be something that could be the best thing. So you have to learn to believe that God, and call that universe is your friend. It is always looking after you. When whatever happens, you say, thank you, universe. I know it is best for me. So thank you for looking out for me.
But you weren't always like this. Were you always so? Did you always have a positive mental attitude like this, or is this something that you developed over time when you realized I can't control what I can control? How did you develop that?
Well, first of all, I grew up very poor. We didn't have, grew up in India. We didn't have a food to eat. We didn't have a place to stay. And, you could blame the society and you can blame everyone. At the end of the day, we realize it is what it is. And the only way we'll ever ever get out of the cycle of poverty is I'm going to focus on educating myself, because that was the only way I knew I will someday get out of the poverty. And
Wow.
my mother, who was completely illiterate, really always told me that, it is all about learning, all about becoming curious, right? She couldn't read, but she would point to the book and say, tell me the answer to this problem. And I would go back and say, Mom, the answer is this. She says, don't make me look at the answer, do it again. And I will do it again and say, Mom, the answer is this. And say, okay, now go to the next one. She had no idea, but she cared. She cared. And what mattered was she cared, right? And that is something we, as we grew up and we had children, one of the things we told them, what very interesting was, we said, our love for you is unconditional, but our approval is not, right? What that means is you will never have to wonder if we love you, but I'm not going to approve of things that we think don't match with our value system. That means you'll always have to wonder, am I proud of you? I'll always love you, but I may not be proud of you. So if you want to do something in this world for me to say I'm proud of you, go out and make the society better. And that's one reason, if you look at
Oh,
our three children, they are, unbelievable. They are my oldest is in the cover of probably 10 magazines, right? And just simply going out and doing things to make the world better. Affordable housing, affordable senior care, really taking care of the middle class. Our daughter is started with a company to remove the gender bias from hiring. Now she just started a company on women's health, because you said nobody is worried about women's health. I'm going to focus on women's health, right? Our youngest one also is now starting a company, just graduated. And my point I'm trying to make is that all these children, they realize money is not going to make them any better.
yes.
And I told them that you may own a lot, but you'll still be a parasite on society, because if you're not giving back, then you're literally a parasite. Parasite, or definition of a parasite is you take more than you give. And anytime you're taking more than you're giving, you're a parasite.
That's deep. That's deep. That's deep. That's deep right there. That's deep. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Um, Other thing, Camilita, that I want people who are on listening to us is to just think about that life is life is full of adventures. In this adventures, we have these things called our heartbeat, our pulse, right? So the only way we know we are alive is we touch our pulse and we say, oh, this man is alive. And they look at their heartbeat. What does the heartbeat look like? Up and down and
Yes.
up and down and up and down. When you see this is smooth, what happens? You're dead.
Yes.
So why would you want to live a smooth life that you're living a life of a dead person? So if you're really living a life that's smooth, you're living a life of a dead person. You want to see the life that goes up and down. And when you are down in life, just know you got to hunker down, because next beat is going to be up. And when you are truly on top of that beat, never get too cocky. Just remember the winter is coming and winter
Yeah.
shall come,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
just live your life knowing there are going to be times that look bad, but those bad times lead you up to the good
Oh,
times. That's called bottom of the beat to the top of the beat.
everybody's loving it. Everybody's typing in. How many of you are loving this conversation? Like, I can listen to you all day. This is just
Thank you.
brilliant. This is so good. So, yeah, everybody's just loving it. Guys, type it. Tell Naveen you love him. Like, Naveen, I'm telling you, I'm taking this one. Why would you want? Why would you not want to go up and down? Because if it's smooth, you're dead. I'm taking that one. Like, I'm taking that. I'm having that. That is just beautiful. Now, look, why was it such a passion for you to change humanity? I mean, you're doing this in so many ways with the moonshots, with your other business, your this whole thing about helping the world through illness, making people just making people well, creating products to make people better. Why is that such a passion for you?
Well, honestly, the only way, if you are an entrepreneur and you really, let's assume you want to be rich, you want to have wealth so you can go out and help your community. But if you focus on making money, you will never make it. You
Mm,
want the best way to create an amazingly great enterprise is to focus on helping people. And here's what I mean to say. If you can build something that can help 1 million people live better, you
Yes.
can create $100 million company. If you can help it, you can build a product or a service that makes 1 billion people live a better life, you can create $100 billion company. But if you want to create $100 million company or $100 billion company, you will fail if you focus on money. Making money is the byproduct of helping people live better, because then they will pay you for your services and you have a customer base that wants your product, right? You never want to sell anything to anyone. You want to inspire them to buy your product. You never want to sell anything. I never, we started Viome, and the whole purpose is that you will know what's happening in your body. We tell you, here are the foods you should not eat and why. We may think it's healthy. For me, it says don't eat broccoli, and I thought broccoli was healthy. Is because I have very high sulfide production and the broccoli is harming me. It told me not to eat spinach, even though Popeye told me the spinach is healthy, right? But Popeye was not the scientist, right? It
Yes.
turns out that I can digest oxalic acid and oxalate, and it was going to end up in a kidney stone, which is exactly what happened because I refused to,
Oh.
right? Point I'm trying to make is that we tell you what to do, and we started a company and we said, this is what we are going to do. We're going to create a world where being sick is a choice. It's not a matter of bad luck. We can't say, oh, it is bad luck we got cancer, it's bad luck we got heart disease, it's got bad luck we got diabetes, it's a bad luck I'm obese. I'm sorry, these are bad choices you are making,
Absolutely.
not the
Absolutely.
bad luck, right? So don't blame the luck when your choices are bad. So we say, imagine a world where being sick is a choice. It's a matter of a choice, not a matter of bad luck, right? We can tell you what you need to do, but your choice is yours, right? And when we talk about this stuff, we are educating people how it works. We inspiring people. We never selling the product. Guess what happens? Everyone, we want people to buy our product, but because they are inspired, they are informed, they are educated. And so it's really interesting. I was speaking at this event and I was talking about this, and people just came to, we had a booth. I want to give money because I want to support him. And he said, well, he doesn't need the money. He wanted to buy the product. And he said, I'll buy whatever it is because I want to support him.
You shared, oh my God, like this is a light bulb moment. How many of you are getting a
Yeah.
light bulb moment right now? Because this is a light bulb moment for me. Instead of selling, educate and inspire.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. Ooh, I love that. Instead of selling, educate and inspire. Because then
People to
people will
buy your
make,
product.
yeah, because they will make them
Edu-
informed decision themselves.
That's right. That's right. And the
Mm-mm-mm.
beauty is, even if they don't use your product, they never feel bad. They say, I made that decision. And if you sold them something, they don't use it, they come
Yes.
back and say, I will never talk to that idiot again. He sold me this shit that I don't need. Right?
You're right, you're right. Oh God, this is so good. Where did you develop this concept? Because this is, I mean, we kind of know it, but where did you develop this concept? Is this something that you developed, or is this something that you worked on, or how did you come up with this concept?
Yeah, so Camille, it's really amazing if you think about, we all look for someone to mentor us, right? And the biggest mentor for every one of us is our life. Life never stops teaching. We stop learning, right? That's the problem. Is that life will never stop teaching. Every moment in our life is a learning moment.
Yes.
Every interaction we have is a learning moment. It doesn't matter you're talking to someone who is homeless or you're talking to the richest person in the world. In both ways, you can learn something from about life. And that is, to me, is we just have to be curious about what makes this world work. And every experience you have with every person, focus on learning from that person, not focus on what can you tell that person.
Mm. So be in a constant state of learning and
Yes.
humility. And again, people will then tell you obviously what they want from you. They will actually
Yes.
even tell you how they can help you if your focus is on how you can serve.
That's
Oh,
right.
I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. Now look, science has been a major player in
Yeah.
your life, okay,
Yeah.
in your business. Were you always into science? Is it something you developed? Were you always intrigued with how the universe worked? I mean, I want to talk a bit more about moonshoot. Tell me about all of these things.
Yeah. So interesting is science is never a destiny. Science is a tool to help do the things that you care about, right? So it's not about anybody wants to buy science. Science is used to build a thing that people want. And what I learned, I don't have a degree. So in a sense, I'm right now running a healthcare company. I am not a doctor. I'm not a scientist.
Seriously?
I don't have a no, no,
No.
I don't. I did the Moon Express, which is going to the moon. I'm not the rocket scientist. I did the computer company. I never, before I started a
Priceless.
computer company, I never seen a computer. I'm not a computer programmer. I don't have anything computer degree, right? So to me, learning is a thing you can learn anything you
I
want
love it. I
and
love
just
it.
have to have desire to learn. When I started Viome, which is Viome, the Viome, it's very interesting, Camilla, you're gonna love. I named the company that Indians cannot pronounce. Indians cannot pronounce the word we. I cannot do we. I just do we. And so what is we? It's a we as in Victor. I don't know, whatever. So I don't know. People just biome. No, I mean biome? No, no, not biome. Biome. Whatever. That's the one.
Priceless.
But point I was trying to make was that I didn't know what DNA was. I didn't know what human biology was. I don't have a biology degree. But guess what happens? I went and spent 6 months reading 20, 30 books. I read down all the research papers and I'm learning. Now I can ask smart questions. And that is the trick
Wow.
is learning to ask the right questions. And
Mhm.
that is, anytime you do something, you don't have to have all the right answers. You just have to be able to ask the right questions.
Listen, you look. I'm the audience is like they cannot believe it. They're taking notes like crazy. They say you're an absolute genius. This is fabulous. They can't believe it because this is so powerful. Learn to ask the right. When this lockdown is finished, I really want to come and see you in the US, wherever you are.
Please, absolutely, anytime.
Oh my God, this is just powerful. So you created a businesses, and all of this by just learning to ask the right questions. And as Warren Buffett talks about, learning a
Yes,
little about a lot.
yes. And other thing is that you have to have a audacious idea that if successful can move the humanity forward, can change the lives of billions of people. Because it's easier to start a big idea than to start a small idea. And here's why. When you start something audacious, the best and the brightest in the world want to help you solve that problem because they want to create a legacy. They want to work on a tough problem because they are very successful. Now they want to become significant. Give them something to work on. And
Mhm.
when you get this a team of people who are so bright, they want to work on problem that you define, and it is so big. If it's successful, changes everything. Every single person with the money wants to invest because you have a great team and a great idea, and everything falls in place. It all starts with one thing. One person says enough is enough. I'm going to go do something about it, right? And you look at Elon. I mean, Elon was basically bankrupt, living on with his friend on his
Yeah.
couch, and then he goes and say, I'm going to build an electric car company. And people said, wait a sec, do you know there's not been a car company created in the last 50 years, let alone an electric car company? He didn't say, oh my God, you're so right, I would not do it. He said, I understand that. And today you look at Tesla is worth
Yeah.
$1 trillion, bigger than all automotive companies combined. Why? Because he believed it was possible. He believed it could be done, and
Mhm.
not because he has no background in manufacturing. He has never manufactured anything. But the point was that's what it takes. Someone coming from outside the industry, looking in, saying, this is so effed up. This can't be fixed, right?
Yes, yes.
And
Oh,
that is the thing, is to really look at the problem differently than anyone else has done. And it
say that
changes
again. Say
everything.
that right there. Say that right there. Look at the problem.
Look differently than anyone else has looked at it in the industry, and then you can solve a different problem. Because if you are asking the same question as everyone else, you're solving the same problem as anyone else. When you ask a different question, you're solving a different problem.
Mm. Guys, like everybody's like taking notes. I'm taking notes. Like, how many of you guys are loving this? How many of you got a question for Naveen? Hope you got an no. Have you got an intelligent question?
Any, by the way, every question is intelligent if the answers are dumb.
How many of you got an intelligent question or a dumb question for Naveen? This is so good.
But let's do some. If audience has any question, I'll be happy to answer it for them. So if you want to
Yes,
have an
please.
audience, okay.
So I tell you
if
what,
anybody has a question,
I've got a couple of people that I'm going to bring up because they want to ask you some questions.
Okay.
And guess what? They ask. One is a scientist and one is a chemical engineer.
Okay. Well, fine. Let's go do that. Camilita, if we can do it in the next 15 minutes, I need to have my next call. So let's go.
No worries. We're going to do that now. So I'm going to bring on Karen and I'm going to bring on Denise. Both of you are panelists. So guys, just make your video available and come on and ask Naveen some questions. Come on, guys. Denise, you need to unmute yourself and unmute and get your video on. So Karen, unmute yourself and let's do this.
Hi, Naveen. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Karen. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. So I'm an inorganic chemist, so my specialty is in metals. And I've done a lot of work with looking at catalysis with iron and photosynthesis with manganese. And now I'm looking at ruthenium, anti-cancer agents. And I had a question actually about algae biofuels, and they have been studied since the 70s. And I am just not seeing a lot of forward movement with that. And I'm just wondering if you've looked into that at all.
Yeah. So first of all, great question. And I think ultimately we need to make the energy so efficient that energy becomes free, right? So to me, the energy should be the next air. We don't pay for air. We can all breathe the same air, not have to say, hey, I just noticed, Karen, you took a deep breath. That was my air, right? We can say, you can take a deep breath. I'll take a deep breath. We have plenty of air. And why shouldn't energy be the next air? I mean, today, every 90 minutes, more solar energy falls on our planet than we use in the whole year. There is so much of biofuels we can create, right? The question really is about conversion. And the reason people don't do that, the conversion is very, very low today. But that problem will get solved by technology, right? It is no different if you go back and if you look at just a couple of 100 years ago, the most expensive metal was aluminum. Because aluminum, even though it is so abundant, but it was always in the form of bauxite. It was so rare. When Napoleon hosted the king of Siam, he fed all his generals in the gold plate and all his troops in the silver platter. But for the king himself, he had to get him the aluminum platter. I mean, think about that. It was so rare that Napoleon wanted to impress him that he was going to serve him in the aluminum platter. It was so rare. If you look at the Washington Monument, the top of the Washington Monument is made of aluminum, not the platinum, not gold, the aluminum, right? Guess what happened? The reason it was expensive was the bauxite. The aluminum was never separate. It was always in the form of bauxite. It was very hard to take out until we developed a technology called electrolysis. And then suddenly it became so easy. We now throw the aluminum cans as if they're free, right? And my point is, what will be the electrolysis of the algae fuel? What will be the electrolysis for the solar energy? That will make it so cheap, so easily abundant that it becomes free. So the point is, don't get discouraged. These things go through these movements where it looks like nothing is happening. And that is the beauty of exponential technologies. In the early days, it looks like nothing is happening, and then boom, it just takes off, right? You look at 3D printing, people thought nothing is happening. And people think 3D printing is something new. Well, most people forget that all the patents on 3D is 35 years old.
Wow.
All the patents on 3D printing have all expired. It is that old, right? Right. My point I'm going to make is, now another great example here is, you look at Kodak. The Kodak invented a digital camera when they were in the business of chemical films, right? And this scientist came to them and said, I have a thing, I can make the camera and you cost nothing to the people. They can take the picture. It was 0.1 megapixel. And he said, look, next year it can be 0.2, it can be 0.4, and it's going to get better. And they looked at him, laughed at him and said, you are crazy. This is nothing. This is useless. Look at these beautiful pictures. Guess what? 20 years later, they went out of business. Is because that camera became so popular, so cheap. We now have 13, 12 megapixel camera that is coming on our phone, right? And that is the beauty. So what happens is, now here's a great example to know why human brain cannot fathom this exponential technology. So if I were to ask you, Karen, that I will give you $100 million right now, or you have two choices. I can give you $1 today, $2 tomorrow, $4 and next day for 30 days, just for 1 month. Most people will say $1, $2, $4, $8, $16. Screw that. That's never going to go to 100 million. I'll take $100 million right now, without realizing that $1 today, $2 tomorrow, that's on day 30, it is $1 billion. 1 billion. That means on day 29th, you're making another $500 million. But most people are looking at 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 and thinking, it's not even going to million. Forget about 100 million. I'll take the money, without realizing that once it hits up, it's gone, right? And that is literally what happens to all these technologies. So when you say nothing seems to be happening, what seems to be happening is this, right? And then boom, it's going to take off.
Oh, that's great. And I do think everything, when you look at everything, it all comes down to control of movement of electrons. And everything important in the world and in technology comes down to that. So,
but
yeah.
who's counting? It may not be electron, it could be quarks, it could be dark matter. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah.
I mean, there's something there, some
Right.
energy is happening.
That's great. Thank you.
Denise, what do you have in mind?
Hello, Naveen. Well, first of all, I'm delighted to be here and tremendously honored to have the opportunity to having this conversation with you. So thank you, Camilita, and thank you, Naveen. And for me and for those of us that want to change the world, your mentorship it really inspires us and and opens the way for many promising projects. So thank you so much. I have many questions for you. I was thinking more generic. I talked to my children yesterday before and I told them that I was coming to talk to you. So they wanted me to ask you a question. And you talked a little bit earlier on that, and who was your role model when you were a child? And who are your greatest mentor now? I know you talk about your mom and your family, and also how life is our mentor. But who were your role models, and who is your mentor, your greatest mentor?
But honestly, I would really say that it is the family, and your life is really constantly are always teaching you. When you are in a place where in a village, you don't look to be, Bill Gates or Richard Branson to be your mentor, because you really know they are very different. You don't say, look, it's not me. I don't look like them. I am not rich. I don't talk like them. I would never be them, right? Whereas, and people around you are all poor. So, who is going to be your mentor? So your mentorship really becomes the life you're living, and your mindset becomes that, why can't I be like that? Don't follow the successful people's habit, follow how they think. And to me, what was really interesting was, a lot of people say, oh, what time do you wake up? What do you do? I want to know the habits. And I'm thinking, following people's habit never gets you there, right? That Tony Robbins takes an ice bath every morning. You can take an ice bath 3 times a day. You're not going to become Tony Robbins, right? You become like him by simply thinking like him, not by behaving like him. And that is one of the problems. Is a lot of the people, when we look up to our role models, we behave like them. We don't think like them. So Kim Kardashian bought this, whatever, the purse or a dress. We want to be like her. We don't think, wait a sec. She didn't become who she is by, by what she's doing, how she thinks. And you need to understand what went through people's mind. So to me, the best thing you do is watch the autobiographies of people on the History Channel, on the Biography Channel. I mean, it's amazing to see how they look at the world when they see the same problem. Some people actually think, oh my God, the world is falling apart. Other people look at the stuff and say, what a great opportunity. And that is really way to think, right? The COVID happened. Well, it happened. Now, is it good or bad? In fact, in my humble opinion, today I'll probably get crucified for even saying that, because we have lost a lot of great souls to this nasty virus. But if you look back in the history 10 years from now, this may be the best thing that ever happened to as humanity as a whole. It changed us as humanity, and I'll tell you why. The telehealth, in fact, got advanced by 10 years. We would not have had the doctors available on the phone, doctors available to be talking to you on Zoom for 10 years. So my point is that advanced the healthcare. Other thing that happened is people realize that their actions have health consequences. People are now saying, wait a sec, I want to live healthy, I want to work out, I want to take my supplements, I don't want to be sick. It used to be, I do what I do, I become sick, I go to the hospital. Now people saying with COVID, holy shit, I don't want to go to the hospital, I don't want to be sick. I'm going to eat healthier, I'm going to take my supplements, I'm going to wear my mask, I'm not going to go party. So my point is, all those things are now actually allowing people to believe they have a control of their own health. They can become the CEO of their own health. And that's a big thing. So I don't want to ever say COVID is a great thing that happened, but guess what? Looking back in 10 years, we're going to look back at this and say, this was a pivotal moment where the healthcare moved from hospitals to home, and our medicine for the future is going to come from farm, not pharmacy. And our food is going to become the medicine.
Yeah. And it helped us to change our mindset and really to invest in medical and biological research. Yeah. Would you talk to us about Viome and your main goals in the near future, Naveen?
Yeah. So Viome, the goal really is to allow every people to know what is happening inside their body, because we look at everything outside. We say if there is one rash on our face, we run and we try to get that fixed. And no one knows you have inflammation inside your body that's full of rashes, but we don't see them. So we don't do anything about them. And what our goal with Viome was to actually show you, this is what's happening inside your body. And not just tell you what's happening in your body, we tell you this is what you need to do. Don't waste your money on all these supplements. You just need these ingredients in these quantities. Avoid eating these foods. Start eating these foods. And here is why. We don't just simply say, do this. We say, don't eat broccoli for me because your sulfide score is too high. Don't eat spinach because this is what's happening. Don't eat bell pepper because you have a bell pepper virus in your gut, right? And then it says, eat these foods because this is what's going to help you. And here is what's going on in your body that's going to be changed. So every score we show you, we say, here is what you need to improve this score. Not something general advice, eat a paleo diet, eat a keto. It's every single person has completely personalized. And that to me was a goal, that can we give people control of their health? Can we use food as a medicine rather than have to rely on a pharmaceutical company? Don't make the chronic diseases as a lifetime subscriber. And that is one of the biggest problems we face in our healthcare system. When someone young gets a chronic disease, whether it is an autoimmune disease or a diabetes, pharma companies are looking at ka-ching, lifetime subscriber coming up. For rest of the life, they have to take my medicine. And you take one medicine, here's what happens. You suppress the symptom, but not solving the root cause. It ends up causing 3 more symptoms. Guess what? They have a pill for those 3 diseases. And you take those 3 pills, they cause 9 more symptoms, and they have pill for all those diseases. And by the time you get to my age, you're popping more pills than blueberries, and there is a problem with that, right? I'm taking a handful of pills every day. That's not a solution. So what I did, I got rid of all my garden prescription. I said, I'm just done, and I'm going to just eat healthy. And my doctor's telling me, this is true story. They tell me I need to take Nexium, the anti-acid drug, for rest of my life because I have acid reflux. And I am like, after 6 months, I'm feeling sick, and I'm thinking this is not working. So I gave up, and I start drinking apple cider vinegar, lemon in the morning, start adjusting my diet. Year later, I go to my doctor and say, wow, everything is looking really good. I'm so glad you're continuing with the Nexium. Keep doing it. I said, Doc, I left Nexium a year ago. And she's looking at me, it's like, why would you do that? And I said, you just told me my numbers are so good now. And she said, get back your Nexium again. I said, no, not doing that again.
I love it.
That's really what our health is going to be. Our health is going to be about us eating right. And I think, it's people think, oh my God, we invented something here. We didn't invent anything. 2,500 years ago, there was a doctor named Hippocrates. You know what did he say? Let food be thy medicine, let thy
medicine be your food.
And he said, all diseases begin in the gut. And how did we forget that?
Oh, Denise, I want you to tell him about the future of engineering. Tell him because this is brilliant.
Yeah. So I'm a chemical engineer from Colombia. And I have been working in the field for over 2 decades. And, I have, engineers we face, by the way, I thought you had studied engineering, Naveen.
I did my industrial engineering, which is, is trying to make the assembly line better. And I did my MBA in union management. And here I'm managing myself. I'm the union.
That's good. So yeah, I wasn't. So it's good to know. So yes, we as an engineers we face always many challenges, and really to solve the world. I truly believe to resolve the world biggest challenges, we need engineers. So I decided to do something about it, and last year I founded a not-for-profit organization called the Future of Engineering. So my moonshot was to bridging the skills gap and democratizing engineering knowledge. So another question, what pieces of advice can you give us so we can achieve this goal as soon as possible?
Well, first of all, is that goal is a worthy goal. And that's the first thing, is always beginning is a worthy goal. That means, is it going to help the society get better? The answer to that is yes, you should go pursue it, right? And then everything after that is, how do you get your message out? How do you inspire people? And that is really what you have to do, is everyone you meet, you talk about that. Everywhere you go, you talk about that. And it is a matter of time, somebody's going to come along and say, Denise, let me connect you to this person who can help you with that. And amazing things happen as long as you keep putting your intent out in the world out there, that I need help. Here's what I want. And suddenly the world will come together for you, right? And this is just like anything else. The more you talk about it, the more people will be actually joining your movement to make that movement successful. So this is a perfect opportunity. You talked about it. There are 88 people who listen to it, and you never know who's going to help you.
Thank you, Naveen. Yes, what we just briefly, what we do, our goals are closing the engineering gap. We have a biggest demand than supply. The second is advancing the career members of our people by inspiring them to solve the biggest challenges and provide the technical and interpersonal training. The third one is really a platform to connect on topics like innovation, sustainability, and skills. And the last one is break down the barriers of entrance, so we can foster the interest in the young people and really, especially women that are clearly underrepresented in this field. I know you know, one of the things you always talk is about the power of collaboration and multidisciplinary teams.
Yeah.
So how important do you think is to build in everything we do, a multidisciplinary team to tackle our challenges down?
Absolutely, 100%, Denise. And let that be the last question here. So basically, anytime you look at the world, the more people from different industry come together, they are looking at the same problem from the different angle, and you will have a much better solution than you would ever have people from only one industry, one type of people you're doing it. So anytime you bring something together, make sure you bring as much of diversity of ideas, as many people from different industry as possible. And because everyone will have a different perspective, and the perspective that you create is going to be unique and best out there. So with that, Camilita, I'm going to take, want to thank every one of you to allow me to convey my thoughts, and I look forward to continuing our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We love you.
Bye.
Having a great
Bye. We love you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Wow, Denise, you guys, wasn't that amazing?
That was amazing, Camilita. I didn't realize that Naveen was leaving us so soon.
Yeah, because he said he would have had about 45 minutes to an hour. Because he's busy. I mean, he's a billionaire, so he's busy. So, but we're grateful that you guys were here and you were able to ask your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh my God, that was so good. And you had a real good science question for him.
Yes, yes. Great technical question.
Yeah, that was really fun to ask him that. And I wanted to ask him about education, but Denise, you asked similar questions, so that was really helpful.
Yeah, I think he would. I tell you what, I will speak with him and I will arrange a call for all three of us to talk to him.
That'd be great.
Thank you, Camilita. Thank you.
When he has a bit more time, because he's busy and we're grateful for his time. But I think what was your takeaway, guys? What was your takeaway from what he shared? Because I think, and guys, I'm going to ask all the audience. Sorry you didn't get a chance to ask him a whole lot of questions because he was quite busy. I'm hoping that he would have stayed for an hour and take some questions from the audience. What was your takeaway in what he shared? I think the biggest takeaway for me was work on the mind. Learn to ask the right questions. That was my biggest takeaway.
I love that. And I love the one he said, love yourself and the world will love you.
Absolutely.